welcome in Glenn Davis down in Houston from ESPN 97.5. He's also called 7 World Cups. He's been on the global feed during this World Cup. I believe he was on the call of Cape Verde and Saudi Arabia the other night as well. Glenn, always great to talk to you. We're almost done here with group stage. I just want to get your perspective on what we saw to start off with in the final match for the U.S. there against Turkey. And how much stock do you put into that one, knowing that Pulisic didn't play till the second half, knowing that some other guys didn't play at all?
Well, I don't know what people were expecting when you make 9 changes. If you thought it was going to be a fluid tempo, rhythmic game, I think you're kidding yourself. 9 changes is a lot of changes to make. If you're a substitute who's hoping to get more minutes in a World Cup, you're hoping to come into a game where you're moving into an established team and you got guys that have been out there and the core team is on the field. So this was not going to be easy for anybody, including the players. This doesn't surprise me. I think we learned a lot from this. If there's this alarm bell going off that we don't have the biggest depth, and I say this respectfully, I don't know what rock you've been living under. That's not something new. I think we learned that Gio Reyna is not a starter in a energetic pressing system. I think his role now for me has been clearly defined as somebody that comes off the bench with his great skill and ability to make a play against fatiguing opponents. I don't know what people were expecting. Now, it is a bit of a buzzkill to give up the third goal to the best player on the field who created it, Arda Güler, who plays at Real Madrid, right? So, look, they had 8 group stage goals. They had some of this dictated in the final game by the 4 yellow cards to some of the, basically the spine of your team. So some of this, I think, had to be expected. But, hey, can't think about this. Short memory. It's Bosnia now.
Yeah, 100%. Glenn, they've obviously exceeded expectations up to this point. The offense has been great. They've scored 2 goals in every game. What do you think is the best thing that Pochettino has done with this group in the first 3 games, if you had to point to maybe 1 or 2 things?
Well, I think we have to think about what he did overall to put it in context. You didn't just do it now. It's been a process. I think everybody had the knives out for Mauricio Pochettino. Oh, he's not American. You have ex-coaches even saying that. And, what's he doing? What's he doing in the Gold Cup? What kind of roster is he picking? Why is he picking this guy? And this was a process. He was trying to figure out what he was getting into and figure out the pool of players. He picked a roster he wanted. He has improved the culture beyond belief. I think we're all prideful as U.S. soccer fans and people that have been a part of the system to see our players look so focused. I mean, applauding the Paraguayan anthem, just looking like guys that are there for the task at hand, and that's competition and going as deep as they possibly can to set a new bar for U.S. soccer. And then that 45 minutes in the first game, to me, was the greatest 45 minutes I've ever seen a U.S. team play, because it was an attack-oriented way of playing the game, which we've never seen really at a World Cup. We've been going to World Cups to survive in a lot of cases, right? And we always get into the third group game, and it's, are we going to get through to the next round or not? And we do something dramatic. Landon Donovan scores, Pulisic scores, and we get through. And then we're gassed in the knockout stage. So I think the spirit, the respect I see amongst the players, I see guys that are going to work and run for each other. Not that that's anything new, but I think that needed to be rebooted. I think U.S. soccer got a little bit comfortable. And you bring in a guy from Argentina. In Argentina, they're not worried about anything except winning and playing for their flag. And he's transformed that team into, I think, something very different now.
We're talking to Glenn Davis. He's been calling for the global feed, the World Cup, here throughout the last couple of weeks. He's called 7 World Cups, and he also hosts Soccer Matters down on ESPN 97.5 in Houston. We can get to the path for the U.S. in a second, but just tell us what we should maybe know about Bosnia coming up on Wednesday night.
Yeah, so Bosnia has had kind of mixed results. They got hammered 4-1 by Switzerland. Some of those goals came late. But what you get with Bosnia is pretty clear cut. They know who they are. They're organized. They're going to sit deep. They're going to dare the U.S. to break them down. They're going to look to hit the U.S. on counters and in transition. And, if the U.S. gets overcommitted or caught positionally. Set pieces are a big thing. They got Dzeko, if everybody remembers him. He's an older man now, but I mean, with a good ball delivered into the box, he can still get up and put a head on things. They're going to fight. They have nothing to lose, and you're going to have to be really sharp defending set pieces and really sharp when the ball turns over, because you're going to have probably around 60% of the possession, 65% I would expect. But it's going to be about getting chance creation against low block defending.
Glenn, what's the biggest difference to you, do you think, when we get to knockout football? Is it just the physicality ramps up? Is it the fact that teams know that they can just really park the bus, especially a team like Bosnia's big underdog, just try to get it to extra time PKs and win it that way? For a guy that has obviously covered a bunch of World Cups and knows the difference between group stage and knockout round, what do you think are some of the bigger differences once we get to this stage?
Well, the big difference is consequence, right? There's no safety net now. I mean, I think that's, I was kind of indifferent about a 48-team World Cup, right? Are we zapping the sacredness of this amazing event, the greatest sporting event on the world that you have to qualify for? You don't get it every year. It comes every 4 years. You got to qualify. That's why it makes everything indelible when, there's these great moments, right? Like, for instance, last night, Cape Verde or Cabo Verde advancing. So consequence is number one. There's no room for error. We're going to get 16 of these types of games. And no, I don't think any, I mean, the only thing is consequence. It's win or go home. And Bosnia is not changing what they're doing. And I don't think the U.S. is going to change what they're doing from the first two games. Bosnia knows who they are. They are a deeper defending team. But I think we've seen a lot of teams that have defended deep in this tournament pretty successfully, right? We've seen the Congo do it against Portugal. We've seen Cabo Verde do it against Spain. That's the type of soccer that hasn't left us. There are a lot of low block defending teams, but the onus is on the U.S. In this round to break it down.
The path for the U.S., I know they can't look ahead past Bosnia, but we can on this show. And so I want to ask you just about the potential path, knowing it's Bosnia, and then if the chalk, if you will, holds, it could be Belgium in the round of 16, followed by quarterfinal Spain, semifinal France, and if the dream of all dream scenarios, you get a final against Argentina. What do you make just of the path for the U.S. men's national team?
Well, the deeper you go, right, the more competitive it gets, and you start running into some of the top 10 teams in the world. I don't think there's any question. Belgium, we can compete with Belgium, but these are the games that now against top 10 teams in the world that, as the United States, you have to play your best game. You can't make any mistakes. Everything's got to fall in place for you to beat some of these teams. Now, that said, I have bigger hopes like we all do. And we've set the bar higher because this is a core group of players that have been to a World Cup before. It's a core group of players that play in Europe. So the expectations and the bar should be raised higher. I would love nothing better for this team. And I know probably a lot of people are saying the exact same thing. Can you imagine if they got to the semifinals and we reset the bar in this country? That would be something. But that's really putting the cart before the horse.
Sure.
Yeah, Glenn, I'll ask you what I asked Alex, because it's exciting to think about the possibilities of maybe who they could face off against. For you personally, if you could see the U.S. play any of these teams in the tournament, who would be the team hypothetically that you would most want to see? Just if you think it'd just be so cool to see him out on the same field with Messi or maybe with France, whatever the case may be, in your opinion, if you could see the U.S. play any team, who would be the team you would most want him to see against?
Well, I would like to see U.S. against world powers and upset a world power, right, in the latter stages of the tournament. Any of them, France, Spain, take your pick, right? I think the Netherlands has got a great chance to make a run. They finally found their striker in Brian Broby. I did the game where they they just put on a finishing clinic against against Sweden, excuse me. And the Dutch Army, the Orange Army, was here in Houston. It was incredible, and what they brought to the stadium. But I think the big question for the Netherlands coming in was, who's going to score goals, who's going to be our primary striker, and they found him in the tournament, right? We used to think it was a big issue for us as the United States, the striker position, and now we feel pretty darn good about Fowler and Balogun, right?
No question about that. Now, Glenn, before we let you go, today's matches, is there one that has your attention the most? I know we get things going around 5 o'clock Eastern time with Croatia, Ghana, and Panama, England.
I'm interested. Yeah, I mean, I always love the Black Stars of Ghana. I do want to see what England does now, because it's the typical England. They came out in a different way under Thomas Tuchel, played a lot more attack-oriented soccer. Everybody was happy. Everybody was saying, hey, it's great. We really didn't need Phil Foden or Cole Palmer. And then they have their second game, and now everybody's like, oh, he made a mistake. He should have brought Cole Palmer and Phil Foden. So, I don't know. The England drama always is interesting to me. The expectations of all the different countries and their fans is always interesting. I'll be interested to see that game against Panama and how they play.
Glenn, love the insight as always. Keep enjoying the World Cup, and we'll check in hopefully when the U.S. is headed down to a semifinal or quarterfinal.
Yeah, let's hope so. It would be really wonderful. I think I'm like you guys, Alex, PJ. I think we're all enjoying the World Cup. Not sure what we're going to do when it's over, but for the moment, we're going to keep enjoying it. It's been pretty interesting and amazing, and I think we're all learning a lot of different things as it goes on.
Absolutely. There you go. Glenn Davis, host of Soccer Matters on ESPN 97.5 out in Houston. He's been calling games during this World Cup for the global feed, and I believe this is World Cup number 8. He's called 7. I believe this is his 8th World Cup